Memramcook-Tantramar.
Mr. Speaker, my question is for the Minister of Environment and Climate Change. Mr. Speaker, we cannot afford any new oil, gas or coal development if the world is to avoid a global temperature increase of 1.5 degrees Celsius. Everything we have learned and seen since 2014 has shown us that the ban on fracking was the right move. Just look at how our climate is changing. There's small things like people having trouble building rinks in their backyard in the winter, but there's been heat wave after heat wave. Last year alone, hundreds of people died in BC from the heat, and that's just the tip of the melting iceberg. In order to meet our 2030 carbon emissions goals, we need to be reducing our reliance on fossil fuels, not increasing it, Mr. Speaker. Does the Minister of Climate Change support increased fracking? And if he does, how does this square with his climate action plan and climate science?
Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The member opposite for the question. The climate change plan renewal is coming very soon. It's coming before the summer. Most of your answers involved with that. It's been well documented with all the departments working together to come up with the solutions to move ahead. What were 118 items to be looked at are now cut to about a third of that, with more measurable goals, some which may answer your questions in a timely manner. That is coming in the very near future. And you will see it before the summer, if everything goes right with translation and other things on the docket. We do need renewable energy. We do need new ways to do it. We understand the solar and the wind power can't do it alone, but it is a slow transition. It's slow in the fact, try to get your EV cars ordered now, get them in place, and even running your homes with the energy we need, especially in the cold winter months. So looking forward to most of your answers being provided in the upcoming renewal plan. Thank you.
The member from Memramcook-Tantramar.
Mr. Speaker, we need to act now, and we need to act with urgency. We don't need a slow transition. We need to speed up, because, Mr. Speaker, that is the only way we will ensure a livable future for our children, the only way to keep global temperatures from increasing past 1.5 degrees Celsius. And this requires a collective effort. It requires us moving out of the last century and looking to the future. I didn't hear whether the minister supports fracking, but I want to ask, Mr. Speaker, in April, Quebec became the first jurisdiction in the world to explicitly ban oil and gas development. This will not only end petroleum exploration and production in Quebec, but also ban the public financing of it. As part of his climate change action plan and based on science, will the Minister of Climate Change follow Quebec's lead and ban any new oil and gas development in New Brunswick?
Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you very much again for the question across the way. We'll certainly be looking at everything. There'll be no decisions made today or in the very near future. Discussions do continue. All departments are involved as well as a one-team GNB with NRED, Environment and others. DTI as well. That's one team. No decisions will be made today, but we will look at all those decisions moving ahead. I'm aware of what's happening in Quebec through our Climate Change Secretariat and the meetings we've had. Thank you.
The member from Memramcook-Tantramar.
Mr. Speaker, it feels like they're tweaking around the edges, looking at the climate plan. We still haven't even seen a climate plan while the world burns. And Mr. Speaker,
Order, please.
Mr. Speaker, the minister has repeatedly said that the new climate change action plan would be coming this June. We're waiting to see it, but I still haven't heard whether the minister supports fracking. The International Energy Agency has said there can be no new oil and gas development, no new fossil fuel infrastructure built if we want to ensure that we can even have a chance at meeting our fossil fuel or our carbon emission targets, our plans to ensure a livable future. It seems that the minister doesn't understand the science, doesn't understand what is happening. Mr. Speaker, will the minister answer whether he supports fracking and when we're going to see the plan finally?
The Honourable the Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I don't think anyone in this chamber or elsewhere would deny climate change and what we're seeing around us, Mr. Speaker. And we know there's an urgency needed. But we also know there's a balance in how we manage that so people can live and work here in our respective provinces and countries. And we also know we've had an energy threat right now in terms of Russia's invasion. So, Mr. Speaker, I think what we're all saying here, what we're trying to say is there's a transition. And you know, I appreciate the arguments that say, oh, well, we don't want to have any more fossil fuels, and I get it, and we're all trying to get there, Mr. Speaker. But if you think about how are we going to keep the lights on, how are we going to keep people's food, how are we going to have transportation continue, Mr. Speaker? I had a little analogy sent to me. When we transitioned from horses to cars, we didn't shoot all the horses, Mr. Speaker, when we had 100 cars on the road. You know, so it would tell you that there's a process, Mr. Speaker, and that's what we can't seem to figure out. But I think we can figure it out. We can actually have a process where we transition from one fuel source to the next fuel source to the next fuel source, and they all get cleaner and greener along the way, Mr. Speaker.